Om Shri Swaminarayan Namo Namaha. Om Shri Ghansham Maharajaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Nilakanthavarani Maharajaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namo Namaha. Welcome to SwaminarayanSpirituality.com. This is Sachin Karnik. I'd like to offer my prostrations to all the sages and to Bhagavan Swaminarayan and all the incarnations of God before we begin our contemplative conversation today. This is recording number 2 on the subject of Swaminarayan Brahmacharya. To continue the exposition from last time, I had mentioned how at the age of 11, Ghansham Maharaj, who is the child form, the childhood time from birth to age 11, that is called Ghansham Maharaj. And then at the age of 11, he leaves the home and goes to the Himalayas. And then, up to the point where he's given Diksha, he's called Nilkant Varani. So that's a name that is given, Nilkant Varani. Again, the reason why that name was adopted by him, Nilkant meaning Tapasharya, like Bhagwan Shankar, who is also a Brahmachari. So this emphasis on Brahmacharya is pretty intense. Nilkant Varani leaves the home and goes straight to the Himalayas, passing through many, many different places. It's a very extensive charitra, which I'm not going to get into. My focus is on Brahmacharya here. The point that I'm trying to emphasize is that at this tender age of 11, Nilkant Varani is absolutely unequivocally, totally clear. In Gujarati, we would say, Akhanda Spashtikaran, Ati Spashta. It's absolutely clear that he is going to conserve the sex energy. That he's going to do that. He's a brahmachari. So he has a kopin, that is to cover the private part. He's learned yogasanas in the Himalayas, etc. He is doing tapasharya. He's doing different fasts. And because as the age progresses, the male body is going to start to develop various instincts and things like that. So he transmutes them continuously. And then what does he do in the Himalayas? Eventually, I think it must be age 13 or 14, something like, I don't know the exact age. I'll have to look that up and find out exactly the age. But at some point in the Himalayas, he masters Ashtang Yoga in 1 year. This is how it is described in the Swaminarayan scriptures. Because Maharaj talked about that, and then Shatanand Muni has written that in Satsangi Jivan, and it's written in many scriptures. So in 1 year, he masters Ashtang Yoga. Now, I want to talk about this in a little bit more detail. What is this Ashtang Yoga, and what is the role of Brahmacharya in the Ashtang Yoga all the way through? So the first point here, Ashtang means 8-limbed. Ang means limbs, 8-limbed yoga, or you say yogi, 8-limbed yoga, or we say yoga in English sometimes. This is a comprehensive system of practice, yogic practice that integrates various physical, mental, and spiritual aspects. So it is based on the 20th century teachers that have popularized it based on the original teachings of the Yoga Sutras in the Patanjali. So Patanjali Yoga Sutras have 200 Yoga Sutras, and then this entire eightfold process is described in those 200 sutras. So Shriji Maharaj masters these in 1 year. Now I'm going to tell you what they are. The first limb, the first step in this is called Yama, Y-A-M-A, which is moral restraints. And this involves ethical guidelines and moral disciplines, which are to be met in their completeness, in their totality. And they are Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. There's 5 points. Right, so Ahimsa means non-violence, Satya means truthfulness, Asteya means not to steal anything, Brahmacharya is to follow this total Brahmacharya, Urdhvareta Brahmacharya, and the fifth point is Aparigraha, not to keep anything with you, other than just what you need for survival. In the case of Nilkant Varani, he didn't keep anything with him. I mean, he just, would drink water from the rivers and different places, whatever fruits he will get, whatever is available, he will eat that. So there was total aparigraha that he was following, and he had maintained this tremendous brahmacharya, this sublimation of this energy, so that it is used to progress through the Ashtanga Yoga and reach Samadhi. So this is the eightfold process to reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And in the Samadhi, you have the darshan of the Brahman is there. The infinite divine light. And then, of course, there's more metaphysics in that. There is the Murti of Paramatma inside that divine light, right? So that's a whole different subject altogether. But the point is that this progression in Ashtanga Yoga, Shriji Maharaj completed this, meaning Nilkant Varni completed this in 1 year. So now the second Anga is called Niyamas, Niyama. These are observances. And what are they? There's 5 of those also. And that is Saucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhan. There's 5 points here. So Shaucha, meaning cleanliness of the body and the mind. That cleanliness of the senses and the body and the mind is based on this Brahmacharya. If you try to maintain Brahmacharya, as the Vachanamrut teaches, all of these niyams come inside there, because Maharaj has said Nishkami Vartman is the topmost. That Vartman, that particular niyam of Urdhvareta Brahmacharya is so intense that it has every kind of niyam already embedded within that. Alright, so we'll go into this. The cleanliness, physical cleanliness, cleanliness of the senses, cleanliness of the mind is necessary to sublimate this energy towards Paramatma. The second is Santosha, cultivating a sense of contentment, satisfaction, and peace with what one has, not hankering after objects of the senses through dissatisfaction. I want this and I want this and I want, the constant ichha, vasanas, those things are gone. So the Santosha, complete inner satisfaction. That's the second quality in the second stage of niyama. The third one is tapasharya. So self-discipline, perseverance through dedicated practice. What kind of tapasharya is done? Fasting. Fasting is done. Then there is all kinds of tapasharya. It's not just fasting. It's the tapasharya of all the 5 senses. To keep the senses within a certain range connected to Paramatma and keep your attention in your sadhana that is connecting with Paramatma. The fourth point is Swadhyay, self-study, study of the scriptures. Nilkant Varni had a small book that he had written all the extract of all the main scriptures, and he had kept that with him for study. So that he was doing also. And then Ishwar Pranidhan, surrender to a higher power. So surrender to Vishnu, Bhagavan Vishnu in this case, the Shaligram. Everything is offered to Shaligram. There's worship of Shaligram, morning puja, evening puja. There's Gayatri Mantra done. All traditional Vaishnava types of sadhana Nilkant Varni is doing. And he's doing them while doing all this tapasya, while traveling through the Himalayas, while meeting with the different yogis, going to different holy places. He's doing all of this. And the foundation is the conservation of the sex energy. Shriji Maharaj has mentioned this in Vachanamrut and other places also, that he wanted to make sure that this energy remains intact. It is not lost, from the body through ejaculation, specifically Viryapat it is called. He wanted to make sure that didn't happen, and to transmute the energy, because this is not suppression. It should be understood. Maharaj didn't suppress his desires. He's got a human body, so he has to function in the human body and transmute it completely, and that is the Ashtanga Yoga. So he taught anybody who wants to follow Ashtanga Yoga how to do this in his life, and other yogis have done also. Bhagavan Krishna was an Ashtanga Yogi, Gopalan Swami was an Ashtanga Yogi, and Nilkant Varni was an Ashtanga Yogi. There may be others who are successful. We don't know their names exactly. Maybe. Very hard to say. All right. Now the third point is asanas. The third limb. The third limb focuses on physical postures and exercises designed to strengthen, stretch, and balance the body. The practice of asanas is meant to prepare the body for prolonged periods of meditation by promoting physical health and flexibility. So the physical health, flexibility, the different postures, there's 84 postures as such. And those asanas are pretty intense. So the idea in this stage, you have to have a guru to teach you that. So probably Nilkant Varni went to Gopal Yogi. I think that's the one name we know. But there's some other yogis also he apparently had gone to. I don't know their names, but I have heard some references on that. And he learned these steps and he learned these asanas. And so he had mastered them. In each asana, you have to be able to sit for 3 hours without any disturbance. And you've mastered that asana. And there's 84 of them, as far as I know. So that is done. So he mastered this. Now to be able to do this, these asanas, this requires again brahmacharya. It is the energy that is going through transmutation. When you're sitting in these asanas, the Kundalini Shakti that is at the Muladhara Chakra, which is the sex energy, it's the same thing, that is getting uplifted, transmuted, and it is getting sublimated from inside out into Ojas. It is getting sublimated in the case of Shriji Maharaj, of course, Ojas and all that is there, but it is getting sublimated into Akhanda Bhakti towards the Shaligram. Towards Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Vishnu. This is he's showing by his charitra how to have this akhanda vritti, akhanda bhakti by this energy flow towards God. It's not simply some like an abstract Kundalini awakening. It's not like that. The Kundalini is awakened in Maharaj, but it is being used for bhakti, continuous bhakti. And that is the point to understand. The experience of the chakras, the experience of Ida Pingla, Shushmana Nadi. I mean, we have to assume he went through all that because, he used to put people in samadhi and they would see all those things. You can refer to Bhakta Chintamani Prakaran number 49, where Maharaj started the samadhi prakaran at that time. And then, thousands of people would go into this types of samadhi. So he obviously had gone through it himself, but he was able to put people into this Krupa samadhi. So anyway, my point is that the awakening of the chakras was also there. It is possible when the brahmacharya is akhanda brahmachari. And then you're going through Ashtanga Yoga, and he's going through it quite rapidly within that 1 year period of time. All right, that is called asana. The fourth stage is pranayam. So in pranayam involves regulating the breath to enhance the flow. Of vital energy, prana, within the body. So there's a whole lot of techniques for this. There's many approaches to this. So there's a whole way of stabilizing the pranic shakti, because the prana has the sex energy within it. And once you stabilize it through the breath control, by taking in slow breaths and then holding the breath and then releasing it slow. And there's Sanskrit terminology for all that. Kumbhak and Rechak and all that. There's different specific words that are in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra that describe this entire process. But it is slowing down the breath, because there's a link between the prana, the pranic energy, the breathing speed, the mind, the mental power, and the sex energy. These three are on the same chain. So Shriji Maharaj, meaning Nilkant Varani, is stabilizing all three of them all at the same time. And this is absolutely incredible. Usually yogis try to focus on one of them. Maharaj put his attention on all three of them simultaneously. Right from age 11, he left the home, and then he's taken this brahmachari, akhanda brahmachari vow, so to keep the sex energy intact. His mind is attached to Bhagwan Vishnu as a devotee. He's continuously doing bhakti. Tremendous amount of bhakti of Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Vishnu is going on. And even from childhood, he would go to all the temples in Chapaya and Ayodhya and other places and all that. As a devotee, in the role of a devotee, all that is there. So it's really amazing. Akhanda Bhakti is there. All of the pranayama is there. The asanas have been mastered, or he's mastering them. And the link between the mental power, the Manovaha Nadi that is talked about in Vachanamrita Garada Pratham 71, the Manovaha Nadi and the mind that is within that Nadi, which is our Antakarana, is actually there, and there's Shakti inside that Antakarana. Right? So that is the Gnan Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, etc. There's all kinds of energies inside the Antakarana. So that energy is the Kundalini Shakti. So that energy that is inside the Antakarana is transmuted into absolute bhakti, and that transmutation process, Maharaj has pulled all 3 points together. The pranayam, then the Ishwar, the connection in total bhakti, Ishwar Pranidhan, Ishwar Pranidhan, if I'm saying that correctly. I think that is how that is pronounced. It is a total surrender towards one's Ishta Devata. And then at the same time doing different asanas and keeping attention on the energy flow within, so that the semen that is in the body gets burned up. It's actually burned through yogic process and transmuted into Ojas Shakti. It is stored inside the brain and back into the Manovaha Nadi as divine power. Right? So in Vachanamrut, I think that language is there. Virya Yogi Bali Nakhe che. Bali Nakhe meaning that it's burned up through the yogic fire. By asanas, by akhanda bhakti, by manan chintan. There's so many paths actually, but this is a Ashtang Yoga path of taking that energy as a fuel and transmuting it and storing it in a refined form into ojas. Right? So this is Vivekananda Swami went through this, Ramakrishna Paramahans went through this, Aurobindo went through this, bunch of sages. Maybe they're there also today. I'm sure they're there. We don't really know, but you can see there are some very elevated sages that have photographic memory. There are some in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya I have met. They may have met you like 20 years ago. They remember every single word that was spoken, and I mean every single thing that they just have photographic memory. Vivekananda Swami had memorized the entire encyclopedia with very few mistakes. He was tested on it, so through Medhanadi. Medhanadi is opens up through Akhanda Brahmacharya, tremendous mental capacity to remember, for contemplation. It's actually used, this power is used to connect unbrokenly with one's Ishta Devata. This is the reason behind this Shakti. It is giving it back to God. This is the power of God. This sex energy is through Prakriti. It is the power of Parabrahman to run this entire universe. Garada Pratham's 34 Vachanamrut. Right? Bhagwane Kal Chadavenu. That is the Vachanamrut. So that is a power that is running through this entire manifestation. And then from that, from one body to another, this entire cycle continues. That is Garada Pratham 17. What people nudal Bijay Ropen. I think it's 17 or 19, one of those two Vachanamrut. I think it's 17 probably. It's absolutely amazing. So that's a high level metaphysics. I won't go into that. I want to keep my attention on the Brahmacharya point here. Now there's the fifth step in Ashtanga Yoga is pratyahar, sense of withdrawal of the senses. Is turning your attention. Pratyahar is practiced by turning inward and withdrawing attention from the external stimuli. This withdrawal allows individuals to focus their awareness on their inner experience and reduces distraction. This is called pratyahar. So Shriji Maharaj, meaning Nilkant Varani, did this. Yogis do this. We also practice from time to time this particular type of sadhana. Pratyahar is sense withdrawing. So withdrawing from the objects of the senses and placing the attention, the energy, the focus on the internal form of God. So this is particular in terms of upasana. When you're doing bhakti of Ishta Devata externally, like Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Bhagwan Shankar, or Jesus, or whoever you might be doing bhakti, you're worshipping the Lord outside through the senses. Then you worship the Lord inside. You worship the Ishta Devata, Paramatma, or even Mahashakti, any form, any Ishtadev, Ishtadevi, whoever it is there, you're worshipping it inside yourself. But to do that, you have to go through pratyahar. So the withdrawal of the senses, the five senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, the Panch Vishaya, these are deliberately, mindfully withdrawn from their respective objects so that the pulling of raga and dvesha, the dualities, the pairs of opposites that are pulling the mind constantly as per the Gita, that stops. Understand, right? Dvandatitam gagana sadrusham tattvamasyadi laksham. Right, this is the idea. You want to reach to tattvamasi. Want to reach to I am Atma Brahma. I am the Brahman. Aksharam aham. The Nijatmanam Brahma Rupam. That state to realize that this pratyahar is part of this Ashtanga Yoga. Now to do that, to even be able to do that, you need energy. This is where that sex energy, the Brahmacharya Shakti comes into the picture here. Otherwise, that loss of that energy doesn't allow one to do pratyahar. What it does, then you're trying to regain that energy, and then the mind is lost its power, and then in doing so, it gets further entrapped inside the Panch Vishayas because it needs its lost energy back. It's a very deep subject, and that I'll talk about later on in subsequent recordings about the problems that occur with the heavy losses of the semen. This is a very, very interesting subject and very important to understand. But to do pratyahar, actually to do any of these steps in Ashtanga Yoga, you have to have synchronized, harmonized, and transmuted sex energy into ojas. Right? So that ojas word is also in the Bhagavad Gita. In one of the chapters, it's there also. Bhagavan Krishna says, I am the ojas. Ojas meaning this, it is a higher refinement. It's a super level of refinement of the raw power that is inside the mind, the body, the senses, the chakra system, etc. It is a total refinement of that. That is why Sadguru Nishkodananda Swami has stated, Brahmacharya age Brahma Swarupa. To reach the Brahmic state that I am the Brahman and I am the devotee, I am at the feet of God, to reach the prasannata of Parabrahman, this Akhanda Brahmacharya is of extreme relevance and importance. Now remember, this is a path for Tyagi Sadhu, renunciate saints, sages, whom Maharaj created as Paramahansas and other, there were some 3,000 plus sadhus who were initiated at that time. People were given diksha. So that is a path of Urdhvareta Brahmacharya. The path for the householders is a different path that is shown in Garada Madhya 20 and some other places also, which I will expound upon that later on. Alright, so these are two different paths. But that doesn't mean that the householders cannot make benefit of these. The householders can also utilize these techniques to some extent and still supplement their path without trying to live like a tyagi. That's why Maharaj said in Gujarati, he said, Grahastha ne shobhe, tyagi ne na shobhe. The tyagi ne shobhe, grahastha ne na shobhe. So the niyams are somewhat different, but the goal is the same. The goal is the internal transmutation of vasanas into pure bhakti. But the paths are substantially different, which we will talk about what the difference is, what the similarity is, and why that clarification is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, a lot of trouble has happened and will continue to happen in the spiritual progression for Tyagis as well as householders. All right. These are all big, amazing things. I'm trying to cover it rather quickly here because there's so much to cover. The next stage in Ashtanga Yoga is dharana. That is concentration. So dharana involves intense concentration on a single point of focus, such as the breath, a mantra, or an object. So in the case of Shriji Maharaj, all three are there. He is completely balanced his breathing. He is doing the mantra. So there are different Krishna mantra, Vishnu mantras. He's doing mantra sadhana also. He's doing Gayatri mantra also. So he's doing all these things that a devotee needs to do. He's doing mantra, but these are Vaishnava mantras. Keep this in mind. Right? And then Shaligram is there. Bhagwan Krishna is also kept in mind as far as I know. But he's worshipping Shaligram particularly. I don't know that he has a murti of Bhagwan Krishna. That I don't think he does. I've never heard anybody say that he actually had a murti of Bhagwan Krishna. But he had a Shaligram. So he would worship Bhagwan Krishna in the form of Shaligram. As far as I know. If somebody has any more information about that, let me know. I'll be happy to hear from you. But that's as per my understanding, I don't know that he had a murti. I do know that when he came to Ramanand Swami in the form of the sadhak and as a mumukshu and all that, as a bhakta, he asked Ramanand Swami that he wants to have that darshan of Sri Krishna Bhagwan in the Golok with the form, because Maharaj then had reached Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and this is a charitra, of course. But we should understand it for what it is and try to grasp that when a sadhak reaches that stage of samadhi, which is the next thing actually after dhyan and samadhi, I'll talk about that in a moment. When you reach that stage, there is the darshan of Brahman, of Akshara Brahman, Akshardham. It is an infinite divine light. And many in the Advaitic Parampara stated that is God. But Maharaj is saying that is not, there is the murti beyond that. So he had pleaded with Ramanand Swami to show him that murti. He said, हमने सुना है कि आप धारणा में भगवान कृष्ण का दर्शन कराते हैं. It's like this, he's doing this charitra of this type. So then Ramanand Swami, and Nilkant Varani would sit together. He gave him diksha, and then this is all described in the Bhakta Chintamani. In fact, all this entire incident, and so many like that. The point here is that if we ever progress to that level where the Brahman is actually realized, then the Parabrahma Tattva still needs to be realized. Shriji Maharaj has mentioned this in Vachanamrut, કે જે બ્રહ્મરૂપ થાય છે, જેને બ્રહ્મ સ્થિતિ થાય છે, એને હજુ પરબ્રહ્મ પુરુષોત્તમ ભગવાનનો સાક્ષાત્કાર બાકી છે. That means that Parabrahma Paramatma is still awaiting to be realized, even if you are in the Brahmic consciousness. Anyway, I don't want to go into that right now too much. The seventh step here is Dhyan. Dhyan is the practice of sustained meditation. This is where this Akhanda Vritti begins in Vachanamrut. It begins with this Akhanda Dhyan, Akhanda Vritti. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, as the Bhagavad Gita says. So this is the seventh step. The Vachanamrut begins actually right in this seventh step of Dhyana. Amazing. Where the mind is fully immersed in the object of his focus. That is Ishtadevata. The limbs, this particular stage or limb represents a deeper state of concentration where the practitioner experiences a sense of unity and oneness. There's a great sense of unification and oneness in this. That the bhakti increases so much that it's like that bhajan of Mirabai, Prabhuji tuma chandana hama pani. You are the sandalwood paste and I am the water, and they are mixed together, so they become one. There's a oneness there. Ekagrata, ekrupta. In Gujarati we say rasbaspanu. That is another way to understand the state of dhyan. There's an absorption inside this meditative state with Ishtadevata. So Maharaj went through that also. And then the samadhi is what? The final limb is samadhi, refers to a state of complete absorption and transcendence. You've gone beyond the Agnya Chakra. Once in Vedas, Maharaj has mentioned to the Paramahansas that once you go beyond Agnya Chakra, the Jagrata, Swapna, Shushupti, Sthur, Sukshma, Karan, Sattva, Raj, Tam, these all three, and 3, these are all transcended. There's a total transcendence into samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi begins once the Agnya Chakra is transcended. That is the Agnya Chakra is a 2-petal lotus with the Ham, Ksham, Bij mantras, and that is the place of Bhagavan Shiv. All right, now having said that, so in this state, the individual experiences a profound sense of peace, unity, connectedness with the divine. Samadhi represents the ultimate goal of yoga, where the practitioner realizes their true nature and attains spiritual liberation. So in the state of samadhi, you realize who you are. You've gone beyond the chakras and all that. You've realized that I am the Atma Tattva. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma. The Atma Tattva is realized. The Brahma Tattva is realized. And then based on the kind of sadhana you've done, if you have nishtha that Paramatma is with form, then that Parabrahma Tattva can also be realized due to that intense nishtha during sadhana time. This is the summary of Ashtanga Yoga. It is very, very powerful. It is extraordinary. It is absolutely amazing. And again, the only way to be absolutely successful in Ashtanga Yoga, one has to be an Akhanda Brahmachari. There is no exception to that. You cannot progress through these stages with the loss of the sex energy fluid, with the loss of the internal energy. It has to be completely transmuted. Then only this progression occurs. People may call themselves yogi and all that thing. Most of them are not actually. They're stuck somewhere, and there's every chance of getting stuck somewhere in this. So you have to have a personal guru to teach you how to do this, who knows where you are. This is not a path you can just practice just like that without a personal guru guiding. So that's why the other path of Bhakti Yoga, which is written in Garuda Pratham 25, which I'll talk about later on, is for all of us. This path there's things we can take from here, no doubt. But to actually sit in these asanas for hours at a time and completely sublimate the sex energy, this is an extraordinarily difficult and even if you can do it to some extent, if you don't know what you're doing in that, if you don't have the right guru, there's some problem that happens with the prana. There's something called Kundalini syndrome. You can go mad also. You have to be very, very careful about how you're using your internal energies and conserving them and transmuting them. You have to have real guru present with you to be able to do this sadhana. Otherwise, follow the Shikshapatri sadhana. There's another completely different approach that has some aspects of this, but it's done in a different way, which I'm going to talk about later on, which is exactly what Shriji Maharaj actually instituted, the Ekantik Dharma path. Dharma, Gnan, Vairagya, Bhakti. While you're living in the sansar, you're doing seva, you're doing Santa Samagam, keeping your body fit and healthy, but you're not doing these extreme sadhanas and Ashtanga Yoga and all that. It's extremely difficult to sit for dhyan and dharana, and it's and you can go mad also. You don't know what the heck is going to happen to you. You don't have the proper guru. I have met people who are stuck in this yogic. There's some gurus have taught them some asanas, some kriya, some this, something. They get stuck somewhere. Then they cannot go up and they cannot go down, and the guru is not available, and there's a big mess actually. So ye sab sadhana, be very, very careful. You have to have guru to do this. Maharaj himself, Nilkant Varni himself, had Gopal Yogi. He made him his guru. The Gopal Yogi is watching everything that's going on, and within 1 year there's tremendous success. All right, so we'll stop here for now. Lots of prayers for everybody's well-being. The subject of Brahmacharya is a very, very powerful, extraordinary subject, which by the grace of Maharaj and all the great sages and all the incarnations of God, may they bless us. And with that, we can continue forward. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sajanand Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hari Krishna Maharaj ki jai. Swaminarayan Bhagwan ki jai. Sarve Santon ki jai.